We were talking King's College women's basketball here on the John Mendola Show. We're at McCarthy Tire Service in Wilkes-Barre, and Caitlin, Veterans Day weekend. First, wanted to ask you a little bit about any veterans in your family that you'd like to mention and be thankful for.
Absolutely. Both my grandfathers, they were both in the Army and did a lot of stuff in the war back then, so definitely appreciative of them and everything they've done and all the other veterans in the area and that I know and don't know.
Well, here we are. 2017-18 season is right upon us, and some hard work's been going on for the last month. Let's talk about what the work ethic has been like.
Yeah, I think this group is coming in more prepared than any other group that we've had. I think it helps that we do have a lot of locals on the roster, so they were able to get together over the summer more than previous teams have. So they really, I think, are starting to buy in that you need to prepare, not just when October 15th comes around.
Let's talk about the schedule this year, some of those games early on before we get into league play, and what some of those matchups are going to do, hopefully, to prepare you for that grind in the Freedom Conference.
Sure. Yeah, we didn't take it easy in the non-conference scheduling. We're going to start right off with Newman, who's usually a top team over in the Colonial States Athletic Conference. Then we're going right to Scranton, who's a national power, to Marywood, who's usually top in their conference. They were 1 seed last year. I think they were voted 2 this year in their conference. Then we go play Keystone, which is a good just local matchup for us right before Thanksgiving. And then we've got Susquehanna, Centenary, Gwen Mercy, who's always top in their conference. Susquehanna is usually a good playoff team over in the Landmark. And then we play Catholic, who's also another national team, and that's all before we get to conference play. So we're loading it up pretty early just to try to get ready because our conference is always tough.
Let's talk about the recruits and hitting that recruiting trail each and every year and what you're able to do to kind of hone in on that and hopefully bring in some players that are going to respond to your system.
Sure, yeah. This year with our freshmen, we only have 2 true freshmen, but they're both coming from good programs, and I think that they've bought in early to what we're trying to do. We're actually doing well. We got 2 transfers last year in the guard position where we were kind of slacking a little bit. And it helps that they have college experience and they're able to come in right away and know what it's like to play college basketball. Now they just have to adjust to our system and our style of play. And then as we're looking going forward, I mean, we're going to be losing 5 players for next season. So we're trying to find some guards that can come in and play with these new guys who just got here and kind of take over the torch and play early.
Let's talk about the experience that you do have coming back. Some of those seniors, as you say, have some basketball under their feet, and there'll be a lot on their shoulders this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first person that pops off in my head when we're talking about experienced veterans coming back to lead a group, it's Olivia Othman. She started 4 years for us. She's local from Valley West, and she, going into her senior year, she already has pretty much every single block record known to Kings, and she's just a vocal leader who really understands and embraces how to run a game and how to manage her teammates and how to get everybody to buy in. And then Alexis Stever is another local who has a lot of experience, and she's a junior for us, and she's come back to practice with just more confidence, and you can tell that she had a ball in her hand all summer, and she's now able to expand on just her raw athleticism. And I think that those 2 are going to be a good piece to build around for this year.
Go through the conference, and a lot of experienced coaches that you go against in the Freedom Conference. I'm sure sometimes you're like, oh boy, I got to go to this guy. He's been around 27 years. Talk about what it's like going to some against some of those programs and knowing that, hey, you're trying to build and do your thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at just the top of our conference between Fred Richter and Mark Mitchell, I mean, they've been around for a while and they're proven successful year after year. So whenever I go try to play them, I mean, I have to make sure I'm on top of my game for our girls. But it's just neat to watch them when you're trying to prep and trying to get into their minds of like, okay, how are they going to play in this situation? And then the whole scouting report of, okay, well, they're probably going to play us this way because we have the most veteran post group coming back in the conference. Everyone else kind of graduated. So we're trying to think ahead of, okay, how are they going to see us? How are they going to switch what they normally do? But traditionally those teams, they're good because they do what they do. So now it's us trying to build into our system to do what we do, so it combats what everyone else is going to throw at us.
There's some challenges of being a young coach like yourself, but there's also some positives, whether it's relating to kids, quote unquote, nowadays. And again, these are young women, sure. 18 to 21 years old or so. But talk a little bit about the response you're getting out of these young ladies?
I think that's one thing that I was lucky being at Kings as the assistant before I became the head coach. I had great relationships with our players, and I think it does help me being younger. I kind of understand what they're going through. I'm not that far removed from being them. So I think we have a lot of trust already, so that keeps a lot of the communication open when it comes to difficult times in the season, or trying to talk leadership things, or trying to teach accountability or how to communicate, since they have trusted me and I have been around. And I do a lot of team bonding to try to get our teams where we're comfortable with each other, and in those situations before the fire gets hot, I guess is the best way to put it. They really are buying into me personally, and that's one thing where, yeah, our record wasn't great last year, but every single game I felt them fighting for me and having my back. So I think that's where this year we've just ramped it up now that we're all a little more prepared, myself included.
You tend to be quite positive. I see on social media you're always trying to throw out some inspirational things or motivational things, either that touched you or you're trying to touch others. Talk about being you. And you were so busy as a student athlete in college, and now here you are as a coach, and you know that these young women also have busy schedules, and they got to be on top of things, and they have to really do a good job of controlling that whole part of their life as well.
Absolutely. I think it's all about perspective. I think you've got to be able to remove yourself from all of the crazy that's going, even social media. Just remove yourself from everything that's getting thrown at you and filter out what is actually important. So if I can do a good job of myself picking out those points and highlighting those points, I think I can teach our players just kind of by doing by example. And there's all sorts of stuff going on in the world all of the time. And you got to figure out what really matters and figure out how do you communicate that. I think one of my biggest things is you got to communicate with each other, whether it's honestly, whether it's just trying to find that one piece that's going right, and then just emphasize that people feed off of energy, and you're connected more than you think you are. You're either going to use your fire to heat the house or burn it down. I might as well heat the house and get everybody else warm.
Caitlin Hodge-Mihalis, the head coach of Kings women's basketball. We appreciate your time here at McCarthy Tire Service. Have a great year.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Alexis Stever joining us from the Kings women's basketball program here on the John Mendola Show at McCarthy Tire Service. And Alexis, let's talk a little bit about what you expect your role to be this year.
Okay, so coming back from last season, we didn't have as many wins as we wanted. So this year, we definitely are working harder, trying to get a winning team going, which is awesome. My role on the team, actually coming out of high school, I was a forward, but now playing with Olivia Othman, Rebecca Prochek, Sarah Wilbert, they're all bigs, they're bigger than me. So I did transition into a guard, but I love it out there actually.
It's great to hear that you have a lot of local girls here and you have a pretty good bond, but the league is really tough. And we talked a little bit with Coach about the preseason games are pretty stacked as well. Confidence-wise, are you cautiously optimistic after the first month of practice to say that you feel like everybody has grown a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, even we're as close as we've ever been as a team, which is awesome. Definitely needed that. We're just ready to play. Our first game's on Wednesday, and we're just ready to go out and play.
Let's talk a little bit about your skill set out there on the court. What are things that you worked in the off season? Even though you're in college, there's always something to still work on.
Yeah, definitely my outside shot this year. So I normally just drive it into the basket a lot, but I wanted to develop an outside shot. So I worked on that a lot this summer.
How about inside, as far as getting the ball in there? Talk about some of those girls. I know you mentioned a couple already, but talk about the difference in some of the skills of the girls that you have down low.
Very funny. I went to Berwick, Olivia Othman. She went to Valley West, so we were always rivals, but now she's one of my best friends on the team, which is awesome. But she's our center. She's awesome. She's a lefty, too, which is awesome. Use both hands. She does a lot of nice hook shots. And then we have Becca Prochek, and she's also in there. And they're just both so different, and which is awesome because Becca could have a good jump shot, rip and go. It's awesome, the different variations that we have.
You do some fun stuff, as you said, with the family. Let's talk about your own family. You got an older brother at Wilkes,
yep.
And you have a younger sister. So tell us about you being in the middle and a very competitive athletic family.
Yeah, I mean, we've grown up around sports our whole lives. My little sister plays basketball, soccer. My brother plays football at Wilkes. America's Cup is today, so I'll probably go to that later. But it's just awesome, especially that my brother is just right down the road, so I could go see all his stuff and cheer him on, and he'll come to my stuff, which is cool.
History and science, some of your favorite subjects. Talk about why you enjoy those.
I've always just liked history and then like the science stuff too. I'm an exercise science major and I want to go to grad school then for occupational therapy. It's just always been like an interest to me. I like helping people out.
Talk about managing your time and the whole college life thing. And you're a junior, so you've had a couple years under your belt here, but it's a big difference from high school.
Yeah.
Talk about what that experience has been like, and whether you started out a little bit slow or you caught on early.
Yeah. I mean, like coming to school, like it was like a huge change because like you do have so much more free time and you have to like manage it and figure out like, oh, I have like practice at 4, so I have to like get all this stuff done. But I do track too at Kings, and it helps out a lot too, just because like every season I'm doing something, so like I have to manage my time, and it really does help out a lot.
Track and field really growing. Of course, ice hockey now growing at
ice
Kings.
Hockey. We have rugby team too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But talk about what you're looking forward to with track and field.
Track last year I actually pulled my hamstring, so like I was out the whole season. So like this year I just want to come back. My freshman year I came in like the top 5 for triple jump, so like that's my goal this year, to come back and do that. Let's
talk about your parents and how they support you, whether sometimes you need a little talk on a Sunday night when you're grinding with the books, or whether it's just supporting you at the game and maybe going out for a bite to eat.
My parents are awesome. I love them. They're like my biggest role models. My dad always helps me out with basketball. He played at Wilkes, and he actually played with the Harlem Globetrotters against them, which is really awesome. So he knows this stuff about basketball, so I always go to him if I'm like struggling with that or anything. And my mom's always there too for like moral support and everything. They're just great.
Awesome to hear. Well, Alexis, great to hear your story. We wish you the best here in 2017-18.
Thank you.
Olivia Othman joining us from the Kings College women's basketball team here on the John Mendola Show. And Olivia, let's talk about being that shot blocker that you are. Coach mentioned you just have a knack for it. I mean, being tall helps, but there's still a little skill involved, right?
Yeah, it's definitely been a fun ride these last 4 years doing that. I've gotten better at it because I was definitely foul prone my freshman, sophomore year. I think I was just all over the place trying to just swat the ball anywhere, and I think definitely like transitioning into like my junior and senior year, I've gotten better at like waiting for the ball rather than just like pouncing on top of someone. So it's a fun time.
How about the growing as a college basketball player, what that experience has been like? And then obviously you have a young coach here, and Coach Hodge Mahalis. Talk about just being able to have that relationship, being able to grow with some of these local girls and kind of figure it out.
Yeah, it's definitely between all 4 years. I mean, this is the year I've definitely been most excited for, and I think between my teammates and my coach, it's just a well-meshing team, and like I think that's the most it's been all 4 years. Like I think we're very open with each other, especially like the captains and the coaches. We're able to just go and talk to each other. We have that one-on-one and relationship where we're able to talk about those things, and outside of basketball, inside, it's all there. So
a couple new players come in this year, not many. So they're going to really lean on a lot of the experience on this year's team. What are some things you think that is going to go well this year for Kings?
So between offense and defense, there's a lot of good things we're doing this year. And then with 2 of our transfers, they're definitely ones that like to run the ball, which is so good. And I think that's something that between all 4 years we definitely needed. So I think our offense is going to be moving a lot quicker, transition. It'll just set up a lot of good things.
In high school, you could probably cheat a little bit getting up and down the court when you're a tallie.
Yeah.
Let's talk about maybe you and Becca Prochak are trying to make sure, because in college, they don't miss anything. They're watching film. They see every little detail.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely transitioning into defense, because our defense, you're just picking up whoever's next. And I think the biggest thing from high school is just they said, all right, you're in the post and you're staying there, and that's who you're playing. But for us, like we could be out on a shooter, a guard, and I mean, our defense has definitely gotten better where we're able to cut them off before they get to the basket, or if we are, we know someone's coming underneath to stop them. So,
as far as the bonding with the team, we heard a little bit from your teammate Alexis about there's a lot there, and getting to know your girls has been a great experience. How about for you, some fun stuff that you do with your teammates?
Oh my goodness, there's a lot. I would definitely say one of our it's nothing even like crazy, but like every Friday night, normally after practice, we either go to somewhere to eat, and we're with each other all the time, which is kind of crazy, but somehow we don't get sick of each other. That's
pretty cool. Marketing and advertising, 2 of the areas that you like as far as some subjects.
Yeah.
And of course, that's your major area. So tell us a little about what you enjoy about it.
I think there's just so many avenues with it. I think in the business world, marketing is a huge concept, and between advertising and sales, there's so much to do with it. And I think between interning right now, I'm excited for what's ahead.
That's pretty cool. Let's talk a little bit about your parents.
Oh my gosh, they have definitely helped me along the way. I mean, they're my biggest supporters, and I think with basketball or just even in life, they've definitely helped me.
Wonder Woman?
Oh, Wonder Woman is the best, and she's so great, and I think, who doesn't love her? Like, how could you not? So,
now, do you wear some of the gear?
Oh, of course. Oh, believe me, my team knows.
That is awesome to hear. Well, it's going to be a fun year this year here in 2017-18. We appreciate your time and wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Maggie Michael joining us from the Kings women's basketball program here on the John Mendola Show at McCarthy Tire Service in Wilkes-Barre, and being one of those local girls and having a lot of experience back this year. You're hoping it's going to equate to a positive season at Kings.
Yes, I think we're going to have a great year, and I love being a local. I grew up watching, the Kings girls. I was going to games since I was a little kid and going to their camps, so it's great to be like a part of their team now. And now being a senior, I think we're going to have an excellent season, so very excited about it.
Some rivalries in high school, but now it's all together, all in.
Yeah.
Friday night get-together, stuff like that. Talk about the relationships.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, a lot of my teammates now were rivals when I was in high school. A lot of local girls. We have my very close friend Olivia, who came from Wyoming Valley West, and Alexis from Berwick. So it's very fun to be able to be playing on other teams and then come together as one. And it turns out we're all very similar and we're very good friends. So it's great.
Let's talk about your skill set out there on the court. What do you bring to the table for this Kings team?
I'm a power forward with like a decent 15-footer jump shot. So I would say that's my, I'm not as big, I'm not as big as I was in high school, but yeah, I definitely am still at that forward, still bring that power dynamic in the paint.
We know you got some bigs in the paint. Let's talk about some guards maybe that can throw down the shots. Who are going to be some of those players you think this year on your team to help complement everybody?
Well, we have a couple back from last year. I think Kayla Dillinger she's a sophomore this year, and I think she has an excellent shot, and she's very consistent. Same with two of our transfers that came in this year. We have one that came from Scranton, who's also a sophomore, Mackenzie. She's an excellent three-point shooter, as well as Lindsay Dupree, who came from Lackawanna, and Rachel DeTore, who's a senior. She's also has a great outside shot, too. So. Yeah, I think they'll do great.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the things you do at school, admissions counselor, some things like that, as far as some of the organizations you're involved with, and then let's get into your major a little bit as well.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I'm very involved with admissions at Kings. I actually did an internship with them last spring semester and over the summer, doing like some counselor work and trying to figure out if that would be a good job for me after college. I like it a lot. But I'm very involved with like the open houses and all that different stuff and school pride and promotion, so I love it.
The athletic programs are really growing, track and field and rugby, now ice hockey's all over the place. Talk a little bit about the fun part of being a Monarch and seeing the different teams kind of get together or going out to support some of the other teams.
Yeah, we love it. We have a great athletics program. We all go to each other's games and support one another. And it's a lot of fun. We all have a lot of school pride, and we love it when we get a new team. It's very exciting.
Let's talk about your siblings.
Okay. I have a 15-year-old sister who's now a sophomore at Dallas High School, and she's great. She's just I love her so much. She's a little baby, she tries to be like me a little bit, I think. So I enjoy seeing her playing sports, and she's an excellent basketball and volleyball player. So I'm very proud of her. And then I have a twin sister at Wilkes who does not really do any athletics, but she's very musically talented, so it's very cool to have that balance in our family.
That's awesome to hear. A little rivalry between you and the sister, Wilkes and Kings.
Yeah, a little bit.
Dual major at Kings. Talk about what you're doing and what you hope to do down the road.
Right. Well, I'm a criminal justice major and a mass communications major. And out of the mass communications track, I really love PR. So after college, I'd love to go to grad school and get my degree in either criminology or global communications. And I would love to do someday like some kind of governmental federal PR would be great.
I've never heard of that major, a double major like that. So it's a very interesting track that you took, and I think it'll be. I think you're onto something there. I think you're going to have a bright future.
Thank you very much.
Talk a little bit about your mom and dad.
They're my role models. They work so hard for me and my other sisters to make sure that we have a great life. They're they're not just my parents. They're like my best friends. So and my number one supporters. So I love them very much.
Well, we appreciate your time, Maggie. Thank you so much for coming in, and have a great 2017-18.
Thank you. You too.